And we're going live in 3, 2, stop typing, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Raid Week Wednesday. I am Indris, and with me...
My mind's telling me no. Oh!
But his body's telling him yes.
But my body...
with me, as always, the lovely McShield.
That was McShield. Just to let everyone know.
that was McShield right there.
Wrong with it.
And then, as always, again, Rady.
Ricardo.
Greetings.
Rady.
How art thou?
Ricardo.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. So let's go over a brief overview of what we're going to go over today. The first thing we've got for you is some gameplay of Skyreach, one of the new dungeons in Warlords of Draenor. And we're going to show you a clip of us, the three of us, and a couple of pugs doing it yesterday, actually. And then we'll talk about some things regarding the new dungeon. We got some new DPS charts uploaded from SimCraft, so we'll go over a little bit of that. Some cool new mounts, and then we're gonna start talking about what we're gonna really need to do to level in Warlords of Draenor, especially for those people that are gonna want to level competitively, and race to 100, and then for some people that want to gear quickly, if you guys are going for your realm first and you want to make sure that you're as optimized as possible for the first tier of content. You guys want to say anything before we jump into some Skyreach?
I'm just looking forward to it. Let's go.
All right.
Let's jump into this. Woo!
McShield?
Let's do this.
All right. So we're gonna take a look at some Skyreach right now. Right now we're Indris is just walking. It's what he does best, and finally getting into the queue here. As you can see, you got the new graphics. It's a nice little this loading screen. I think the thing that stood out most to me, just from a game developer's point of view, is just that I really like the look of this dungeon, like a lot. Like the general art style and the design. I think Blizzard hit this one out of the park with the look to this dungeon. I think it fits the Arikov race pretty well.
Yeah, you say that too. I remember us just first entering this instance, and we're like, whoa. It's kind of a mind-blowing thing. Like, you kind of see the Arakoa in Burning Crusade, and you're like, what the hell happened to these guys? Now we're about to experience it. This is them at their peak. I mean, this place was incredible looking when we ran it. And the boss encounters too that'll come down the road as we watch this video, phenomenal. Like, this was definitely a well done instance.
There's a lot of like surprises on the trash and things that caught us a little off guard. So it was a refreshing way to play WoW.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the first time that I had fun doing a dungeon in like the absolute longest time, because I can't remember the last time I went and jumped in a random dungeon queue and ended and could have said, I'm having fun right now. I think it's been quite a while since I've said that. Like, this honestly was probably the first time that I had fun doing a dungeon. This wasn't even heroic, and it was actually pretty difficult. Like, we said it before, that WoD dungeons are no joke. WoD dungeons are no fucking joke. Like,
yeah.
The amazing thing about this too is we actually had some gear on us too. Not to mention me, I had a little bit extra from what I've been doing on the beta, and then the pieces that we were able to pick up from the start. Oh, actually, this wasn't. Was this?
This one we were scaled down to 97.
Okay, yeah. Was what the gear I'm saying? Was this the Did we do this on the PvP or was this?
No,
on
this
PvE?
was the first one we did.
right.
Okay, gotcha.
We ran
oh my God.
we ran Shadow Moon Burial Ground after this on the level 100 PvP realm, and even with gear, that one was tough as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was definitely easier just because, well, when you're decked out in heroic, tier gear, kind of makes things easy. But like, it's just like it's one of those things where
graphics. Jeez, I'm sorry. That was awesome looking.
Oh my god, I can't wait. Like, having 3 warriors in the raid group, and you just see like we're just little mini General Nazgrims all over the place. I think it's pretty sweet. And obviously, as of right now, as far as we know, numbers wise, this is definitely going to be the most viable talent for warriors at a level 100. Besides the gentlemen that want to go gladiator stance, or ladies, whatever.
Besides the warrior, though, I mean, this fight alone, Oh, you said once you brought it up, even at a level 100, you get scaled down to these instances, and your gear gets scaled down as well. So, like you said on your difficult scale, I mean, these are already difficult enough. You need to have competent players to run this, because if you don't, you're going to see people drop. Like I don't know if people are watching the health bars most especially, but just on a healer's perspective, if people are making mistakes, it is hard to bring them back up to a decent amount of HP. Like they need to stop making those mistakes quick, or else they're gone. Like they're not going to last. So
Yeah, and on that boss, the little fans he puts out aren't that tough to avoid, but that big one moves faster than you think it does.
And it's probably even more difficult to avoid when you're, as a tank's perspective. I feel like the fight would probably be more difficult. But like, I mean, I think what Rady said is true, that the fact that, from the healer's point of view, that, when you see somebody make mistakes and get hit by environmentals, and it's just being overall dumb, that it's more difficult for you to get them up. I think what some people overlook is the fact that you're not really all that comfortable. At least I'm not when I'm in like the PTRs and the beta, because like it's just not what I'm used to, and especially this being one of the few times that I've been on beta for any extensive period of time, that I wasn't really in my comfort zone when it comes to playing my character. And I feel like I did a little healing on the beta as well, and it just felt so weird because I don't have my add-ons, my UI doesn't look the same, and I just feel really awkward. And I think that also plays a role into it too, because you're kind of like, everything's not where it's meant to be, or like what you're used to, and I think it makes the game just a little bit more difficult because of the quality of life changes add-ons gives us. But like, one thing I wanted to note was during that entire fight, McShield was around 40% health. I see that is so common amongst the tanks that I've done, that I've played with in heroics and the normal dungeons, that like you rarely ever get to be at the full 100% health. And I think it's gonna make it difficult, because as soon as they do fuck up, it's kind of game over. And I think you'll see that in this fight too. Is McShield will take a nap. I think at some point he doesn't die. McShield's immortal, but I'm pretty sure
I last to like 2%. I think I did all right.
Yeah, I think you got tired. I think you took a nap towards the end there. But I mean, like,
what I didn't do is avoid this guy's left hand, right hand mechanic.
that was, oh my god, you gotta go in depth with that, because the precise mechanics they're adding to this game. Yeah, I'm just
this
turning it
guy.
down a little bit.
This guy's a bitch. He's so he does this at the smash. He'll have a little cast bar that says smash. I don't know if he does have a cast bar, but he raise up either his right hand or his left hand. Yeah, smash right there. And you got to pay attention to which hand he's throwing up, and it doesn't tell you which side. It's just you have to look at him, so you can't tunnel and just like focus on your action bars. And he's either gonna do a slow one with his right or a quick one with his left, and you've got to move out of way of it, or it's going to hit you real hard. And then you got to make sure that either the tank can block these white beams, or the DPS can block the white beams. Whoever is in the beam is going to take damage. So, and there's a couple times that I grabbed the beam, I was taking a lot of damage from the boss and a lot of damage from the beam. So, maybe if you got a good healer, I'd throw DPS on there.
Yeah. No, yeah, they say everyone could essentially block those beams, so it's kind of like who can get there and block it. Now, what I noticed in the video actually alone is, does that person need to get closer to the beam? Because at the end of it, does it explode and do AoE damage based on the group? No, actually, that just passed by, and he just did AoE damage by himself. There's so many mechanics we don't know specifically to these fights yet, 100%. We luckily got them down pretty easily and were able to clear through them. We did a bunch of other dungeons, and that was kind of the same way. But the mechanics alone, there's so many new ones I've noticed. Like in Warlords, I know they deliver with their expansions, and luckily in this one, you're definitely going to see that whole new mechanic side of things. There's different things that we have never seen before in these dungeons. I don't know what they're going to do in the actual the raids. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen then, but at least just in a dungeon perspective, there's so much new stuff that it's going to be an incredible thing to experience when we're actually doing the other PvE content in Warlords.
Yeah, and while we're in here, I also want to point out again, like, the overall art design of the entire room and the structure. I don't recall any other area of the game that has a a similar structure to this. Other than like a few parts of Silvermoon, and that's just because it's kind of the generic 2 staircase up to the balcony there. But like, other than that, I can't really think of anything that looks like this. So I mean, it's refreshing to see Blizzard giving us, this fresh new content, and it's actual fresh new content, because obviously Blizzard's notorious for reusing the same character models over and over and over and just giving them different colors or slightly retexturing them. But and obviously we're going to see that a lot in WoD too. Like Blizzard hasn't changed much, but the fact that they're, some of the first actual like heavy PvE content that we're going to experience is going to be some fresh new stuff.
I noticed too in the video, just to cover it real quick, because I noticed you changed it, and this was something you brought up, and it's more towards the warrior perspective, but I see you went to dual one-hander instead of the two-handers. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Did you see any changes or anything like that when you did the switch?
I definitely think my damage improved going one-handers, and I think the reasoning behind that was that as a melee DPS, as melee DPS, specifically a Fury Warrior, they're emphasizing haste now, and not saying emphasizing as in this is my primary stat, but I have to reach a certain threshold at some point before I can start working on the other important stats such as crit and mastery. And having one-handers, allows me to attack faster, and obviously a lot of my damage is dealt through my melee attacks as a two-hander, but as a one-hander, I'm able to generate a lot more rage, and I'm, I felt like going two-handers, I wasn't generating enough rage, and I felt like I was always out of rage when I'm going to use my wild strikes. But when when I went one-hander, I felt like there was just an abundance of rage, and I felt like I was just doing more damage, and you could see it in the numbers too. Like I was actually doing more damage. I haven't really read into it completely to exactly see what the reasons were behind it. Mathematically, I'm going to be doing some research on that over the next week or so, since we're going to be off next week. As far as the raid's concerned, but when it comes to Raid Week Wednesday, obviously we'll be here. But I'm not 100% solid on the idea yet, and I might actually be trying out arms at some point soon. We'll actually go into that after this.
Because you're like, you know what, hitting more than 3 buttons, I'm not into it. It's not my thing.
But I mean, we'll have to see. But I feel like I'm just doing more damage as the single-minded Fury. I think it might be just a more viable option as of now, and I think again the same situation is with.
You didn't try Gladiator out either, did you? I mean, that's right now looking like the top DPS.
I haven't tried Gladiator, and I'm really reluctant to, just because it's prot. I don't like prot.
Are you afraid of being the realist?
Yeah, honestly I am, but like I want to defy all the odds. I want to be the top damage with a non-viable spec. That's what I want. And I just like to show up. I mean, because I like Fury Warriors, man. Fury Warriors are they're so cool.
It's all right. It's not a Gladiator Warrior.
But I don't know. I like it. I enjoyed it. I think Fury's doing. I think the same situation is going to happen with Miss. It's just that Fury scales so well with gear, and maybe not this first tier of content, but maybe the next, or maybe the last. Again, how Siege of Orgrimmar was. That I feel like Fury two-handed is going to be the reigning king because of how much weapon damage comes out of the higher tier gear. Out of the higher item level gear, because that's a lot of Fury's damage is just our melee attacks, and the more damage your weapons can do, the more overall damage you're going to do, and it obviously amplifies your spells as well.
Yeah, but if we're looking at these charts, it's not like the Feral Druids far and away crushing these. 7 to 8 to 9% is ahead of you, so it's a gap, but this is right after you just switched. I think it'll get better.
This fight was also, you can't, this fight alone, if we're talking about.
Let's talk about this fight for a second.
Time out. We're talking about DPS, this fight alone.
You're Rady getting pissed off?
Yeah, Rady is so, if you guys were here in the audio to this, Rady was so furious about these damn birds. And the whole time I'm explaining it, look, dude, You know when phoenixes die, they're just reborn from the ashes. Like
They're reborn from the ashes.
just straight up telling them. I
This
mean,
fight
like,
was difficult as a healer. I mean, I'm sure there's a different mechanic to have to do to this fight itself. Like, maybe you have to run these phoenixes around the room or something,
I think,
not just kill them right there. Like,
I think
there's-
the way it works is just from what we can see here is the fact that it chooses a target, fixates. You need to run away because when it reaches you, it will turn into multiple. Like it'll like duplicate. See how it touched? Oh no, it didn't touch you. You managed to get away.
He shot out a thing.
Okay,
See,
so
when he shoots the fireballs, it brings them back to life. I'm wondering if the players that have them, see how much space there is behind us? I'm wondering if you need to run them that far away behind the room while keeping in like a range to keep doing stuff, like as a caster or whatnot. But send them further away so that when they come back,
just fixating on you guys. They seem to ignore the tank.
yeah.
yeah.
I think
Except
you
this one
guys
guy go
have to
right
kite them
by.
out around the room, and like if they reach you, they're duplicating. So then they're just more and more to kill. So basically, you have to kill the one and nip it in the bud right there before it just gets out of control.
Yeah. This fight alone, like if you guys see my mana, it was gone. Like this was a difficult fight. Luckily, the birds for some reason stopped coming as quick as they were, and we were able to get it down. But
Maybe
there's more mechanics to this that involve that entire room. But this fight alone, I mean, just to talk about that skill and that difficulty gap, this was a tough fight. Like if we didn't have the gear for this, or maybe just I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like this was just a tough fight.
Now, you went disc on this, right? You were disciplined.
Yeah, I went to disc. I haven't tried holy much at all.
See, I wonder if you were holy, if it would have been a different story. I'm curious to run a couple with you as holy to see how that works.
Yeah, I would. That's actually something I want to definitely do or look into doing in the next coming weeks.
Because again, the reports are that holy is super strong right now.
Yeah, I definitely need to try it. Oh, this part coming up. We gotta talk about this, but I definitely want to try holy. I want to see the difference. I'm not having like clarity of will and stuff with the discipline tree and all the absorptions I'm getting. They don't seem to benefit me much. But at the same time, like I'd like to see maybe what flat out healing will do in comparison. Because if the absorption's not helping me as much, I could still use clarity of will, which is a form of absorption for the holy priest as my talent, a level 100 talent, and just throughput through all my healing. So I want to see what happens. I'm definitely gonna try it in the next coming week when we do some other dungeons to put up, but we'll see what happens.
All right, can you stop talking so we can talk about the best part of this instance?
This was amazing.
So much
I love
fun.
this.
This
So
was
much fun.
this was definitely the funniest part of this entire instance because we had no idea what the hell was going on. I've never seen this before. I mean, maybe they had like a similar thing back in like when Throne of Thunder was, or not Throne of Thunder, Throne of the Four Winds was the thing. They probably had something similar, but basically the whole premise is you have to walk against the current. If you go into, you see where I think that's McShield there, yeah. He walked into the center of that, and it just immediately pushed him away a lot faster. You will get pulled off this thing. Like, if you just don't do it the right way, it will shoot you off the ledge. And the entire time, you also have to dodge these birds, because the birds back up, and then they shoot right through
they were hitting me
the path.
for about 11k
Yeah.
each time a bird hit you.
I was getting hit for like 10.5k or something like that, because I think I go back to test to see if it really does damage. I think this is what I do right now. Yep, there we go. So 14,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they hurt. And
It's like a little maze. They added a freaking maze to the game. Like that's a mini game because you watch them, they like back up and then they shoot in. So like depending on how difficult that might be.
Watch Rady earn his money.
Yeah.
He's about to earn his money right now. Look at this high quality priesting is about to go down.
Freaking what was
Dun,
it though?
dun.
I brought this up in perspective later on, but imagine this in heroic. Like imagine actually probably having to
Look at
dodge
that
those
grip.
birds.
Look at
while
that.
going through.
That was a
There
nice
we
life
go.
grip.
Great A.
Put it on ESPN. Life grip of the
top
week.
players. But
Now this
Besides
part
that-
is going to be hilarious because we all die.
Well,
Spoiler.
hold on, because I want to talk about all this in general, like on the minigame aspect, because I'm interested, because you said it was 14.5 thousand each time the birds hit you. I'm wondering, we didn't do it in heroic. Do you think, or in challenge modes even? Cross in chat made up a good point. Like, imagine how difficult these minigames they added to the game are going to be when you're running challenge modes or you're running heroic. Like maybe they won't hit for 14.5k. Maybe they'll take a quarter of your HP every time they hit you, and if you get hit by 3 or 4 of them, you're dead. And the healer has to constantly keep healing you through that. Or CMs where you're just squishier and you might just take a ton more damage right there with your lower item levels and stuff. Like I'm interested to see what they do with the mini games. And there's more. It's not just this instance. Like you're gonna see more as you do the other instances as well. They added a lot of these kind of mini games to the game that are probably gonna be difficult based on the difficulty that you're in. Like right there, it didn't matter, but
yeah, there's more flavor to the runs. It just makes it good.
I think the change in just general gameplay, I think, is going to be a plus.
Now watch us get stomped out by this trash pack.
Oh yeah, yep.
Just stomped.
They're not having any of it. I'd like to also point out I'm at 35,000 DPS, but you know, that's just me.
Well, this trash pool, we realized that there was mechanics to this trash, and just like all the other instances as well.
That's a great thing. Like they're unique trash packs that each mob is doing something different. It's just not like Shaman's trash where there's just 1,000 of them.
Yep.
Very true. That you already know how much I hate Shaman's trash.
Oh, I know.
It got to the point where I think like maybe 4 or 5 weeks in a row I made up some bullshit. I've got to go AFK kind of thing, so I didn't have to do Shaman's trash. BRB.
It's one of our officers. One of the officers.
BRB. Kid fell down the stairs.
Go, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. But this fight, these trash pools alone that we experienced. I mean, it was interesting seeing like there's a little bird flying there. After the way we realized, okay, the bird is buffing one of them immensely. We got to get it down. Taking a step back real quick.
Little phoenixes from the last boss encounter.
Yep.
Look at that room. Like when you were from the top perspective when you showed it. I mean, like just the room that we're running by now, but from the top perspective, like that's just incredible.
It's such a cool looking instance. Like in general, I think it really like fits their theme entirely. Like it just captures their race.
This is
like
the
whole, like awesomely. Like I think
this was the golden age for them. Like this was their peak. Like this was the time for them to shine, and this is showing it. Like they look like gold hallways.
Yeah, they're not like the hunched over like raven looking things. These guys look like motherfucking eagles.
Did you say this is their beak?
Wait,
it's their peak.
Okay, just making sure.
A pun?
We're doing bird puns.
I thought he tried to be punny. I mean,
he wouldn't hatch anything like that.
If you guys, Jesus, the birds. If you guys look now too in the video, you're gonna realize that wind that we just had to run through in that maze is gone once you kill the ads at the top. So for that whole perspective of the challenge mode and heroic difficulty, as long as you kill those ads at the top, it will go away. You won't have to keep repeating it, but who knows? Maybe in the challenge mode if you wipe. Or I mean in heroic at least, if you wipe or something, maybe it won't go away. Maybe it's just there forever. I don't know, but at least you notice that it does go away after you kill the mobs.
Yep. Now attempt number 2.
But back on these stupid ads, here we go with the.
So there's a kill order with these things. Yeah, so you gotta kill that little bird first, and then the adept, because the adept's gonna heal.
And I also like to point out that Rady tried to organize.
We got it down. It only took one wipe to actually figure it out. It was still pretty difficult though. These mobs did take some time to kill. Even after we finally got a kill order, I didn't see through all of the smoke in AoE that if the Phoenix becomes reborn again, like the mob from the boss fight. I think he might. I don't know, but there's also little like totems that spawn in the back that people need to focus on. There's just more going on that needs to be taken care of because it's not easy. You can't just sit there and breeze through the encounter.
Nope, can't tunnel anymore. Claros in chat raised a point. It is a guild run. We noticed on dungeon runs, you only need 3 guild members for it to count as a run.
Yep. And I also, I meant to point out that at the beginning of that fight, Rady tried to organize, and I think we just, lucked out entirely with the beginning to that one, because the mage, face pulled the Phoenix right at the start there.
The mage. Oh, boy. That wasn't our guild mage, just to let you guys know. So the numbers you're seeing doesn't reflect upon our mages. He's just a random pug that we picked up.
He's getting smoked by McShield, though. Look at him.
Smoked. I'm surprised I wasn't on those meters.
Oh, this is your cooking boost here.
Oh yeah, that was interesting as well. You guys will find.
Is that just a beta thing, or is that going to be in live?
No, that's actually I found out that was live. It's not just for getting cooking. It gives you all once you find it. It gives you all of the Warlords of Draenor cooking recipes. So you could start from level 1 and gain up to 700 strictly just through Warlords. You don't have to go back into the old content to level your professions essentially. Once they start at level 1, in that kind of scenario, like cooking. I don't know if it's towards all the main professions as well. It might very well be, especially with the new garrisons and stuff. There might be that implementation where there's a focus of Warlords of Draenor only kind of on your leveling professions, not having to go all the way back to vanilla to get your 1 to 300 and then BC to get the extra 75 and stuff. So that'll be nice to see. I did research that. That is 100% accurate. You could level 1 to 700 cooking in strictly Warlords. So that was really cool.
Yep. And it also gives you the like I think I opened it up. I don't know if I already passed in the video. I wasn't paying attention for a quick second there, but I think at one point I opened up my cooking book, and you can see that we have the skill from 1 to 700, and then I opened up the skill book, and you can see like right at the start there's a couple of skills that'll give you the increase bonus every time you make one. It'll give you like 5 skill ups. So I think that was pretty helpful because who levels cooking?
No one wants to sit there and have to level one at a time. Like especially like those they're secondary professions for a reason. I feel like let us get them up there, especially if we've already done it on different characters. No one wants to keep doing it again and again and again, having to level one at a time. So luckily they give us the break on leveling.
Especially with how vital cooking became in Pandaria.
It's going to be speaking of vital. I mean, it's going to be extremely vital coming into Warlords. I mean, those buffs are going to benefit, especially the multi-strikes versatilities, the extra bonus buffs that they have coming up with the food. Everything's going to be very important. All professions, really.
I think the worst part about cooking in Pandaria is the fact you had all these different branches that you had to go out to just to get like that final thing, and I think it was just like a pain in the ass that nobody wanted to bother with. And even like Blizzard put a vendor in like the Tiller's farm area that literally gets you from like 1 to 525 just off of what it sells from vendor stuff, and then you just have to do the rest of the way, and people still didn't do it.
Yeah, there's people who are like, whoa, they have a vendor like that? Like, not a lot of people knew it.
Not a lot of people knew it, but like towards the end of the expansion, a lot of people did, but still didn't bother to do it just because of how much of a pain in the ass it felt to do.
It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's just the worst.
And I think Blizzard realized that, so I think they're just trying to. I think they really want everyone to experience it, and I think the direction that they're taking might be the right one. It depends on what the delivery system of the items is going to end up being, so that way we can actually do the cooking itself. I think it's, if you're getting something like this, if you get access to something like this while you're leveling, I think, when you're finally killing mobs and you're getting all this stuff off the mobs for like the cooking stuff, you're like, oh sweet, I'll just cook it right now and get my skill ups, get that out of my inventory, and might even use the food to heal up or whatever. So I think keeping it as relevant as it can be, rather than just like, oh, another cooking mat, I guess I'll toss it, put it in the guild bank, or auction it, rather than use it towards my own profession. But now that people are going to have access to actually using that item right off the bat as soon as it drops, I think it'll be a smarter choice.
By the way, we call this boss fight the look at us do it wrong boss fight.
This one was nice. So basically, the entire fight, you have to deal with 2 ads that you're gonna have to constantly kill. You have the zealots and you have the guardians. The boss, I think we pointed it out towards the end of our run here, is that I think he probably should have been tanked at the back, or well, we decided.
You have to pull this guy to the wall.
Yeah. And then just trail the fire along the outside.
You'll see why.
Yeah, you already saw one of the zealots pick me up, and basically the zealots drop down, and it's kind of like a mirror of the Lich King fight where you had the Valkyries come down. It picks you up and it drags you off and drops you off the cliff to your death. You have to CC them, you have to stun them, you have to damage them and eventually kill them so that way they can drop them. And then you have the guardians. The guardians are going to bubble the boss and absorb 99% of the damage dealt to him. So you need to kill the guardians. Otherwise, you're just never going to kill the boss. And I think you see the druid get dropped off right off the side there.
This one gets hairy at the end. We beat him on the first try, but it gets hairy.
Yeah,
it was touch and go for a while.
And the whole time we've got these fucking Siegecrafter lasers all over the floor. That trail, you can see it's like trailing this guy over here.
That mage, I felt bad for that mage. He was just literally the target of every single. Luckily, he was understanding of it and he kept it in the back of the room. But Jesus, it was chaos.
I think we just tank him at the door, and I think you just take the fire and you just go along the outside ring. Yep,
that's why you take it by the door, because there was no reaction time to when the zealot picks him up to when he gets dropped off.
Yep.
I don't blame myself on this though. I think it's mostly Idris's fault.
You got me there. But as you can see, they just kind of like leave some corpses down at the bottom. And there's just a little nest.
I noticed when
Corpses.
because I tried doing the same thing to you. I tried saving you with the leap of faith, and I saw you try leaping over as well to get back.
Yeah. Nope. No
You could cast it. I think you could save people if you time it properly, but like,
you have
with the leap of
you have
faith-
to like click on me and then fucking spam the shit out of the button.
Well,
and-
not even that. It's you could cast it while they're still being grabbed, so it'll go through while they're grabbed. You have to like if you kill the bird in time before you actually fall, or even while you're falling, I think you could still be grabbed and saved. I
Then why
tried
the
it,
fuck
but
you didn't save me?
So what's
I already
going on
wasted
up top is like if you look at my health bar right now, I am at like next to no health, and Rady's got like next to no mana, and
two
this
people are
other, and the 2 people are dead, and the other guy just got picked up by a zealot.
Yep. So we were.
It's like, so it was all on. We got him though. We did it.
We did it first try. It was not bad, but I'd also like to point out that this was not heroic. Once again, this was normal. So I'm quite excited to see what mechanics are added in heroic, and how much scaled the difficulty will be, or how scaled the difficulty will be once we have access to the heroic version of the dungeon. And we'll be bringing you more content like this with the next Raid Week Wednesday. But yeah, just the kind of final walkthrough here. And again, like I just have to keep pointing out like how cool the art style is of this whole dungeon and just how cool it looks, and it feels like almost like a place that you would expect them to kind of make like a stronghold or like a living space or whatever. Like I feel like it's not just a structure, it's something that they would use for certain purposes. Like, you know, you see like the little homely beds and these little nooks and crannies over here to the left. Of course, I turned my fucking camera away from it. But
It looks good. It plays like I liked going through it and running it. It seemed varied and different and challenging. Like from a tank wise, here's this big fucking bird that's gonna give you right back down. But like you have to be on top of your active mitigation and your self heals because it's gonna be a challenge on your healer, and you can't just sit there and be like, well, I'm just gonna hit one guy and get healed through it. Like everyone's got to be on their game in these dungeons. It's nice.
Rashad.
It's gonna be nice to see a challenge. Yeah, there you go. It's
Rashad.
Rashad. Just to make sure everyone
Meet
knows. But it was nice to see the challenge. And it wasn't just that instance. We've done some more that were also very challenging. So it's just nice to see that extra skill gap, especially in the small things like dungeons. It makes me kind of anxious to see what's going to come from the raids. Like these dungeons are already so difficult. It'll be nice to see how many different mechanics are going to be in one boss fight alone if there's already 3 or 4 different mechanics in each dungeon fight that we've been doing. So it's just nice to see some new stuff, new artwork, different things like that. It was definitely fun.
And also Blizzard is really taking a page out of the book in Siege of Orgrimmar, where you're going to experience mechanics with the mobs that basically, you know, one mob will do this, one mob will do that, one mob will do this, and then as soon as you get to the boss, he does all the abilities that those 3 mobs do and more. So I think it's almost feeling like a little mini raid with 5 people rather than
there's
just
also
some shitty
some-
heroic dungeon.
Some trash later on that behaved like bosses. So like, you know, the pull before the last guy, he was just a mini version of the second boss. So that's pretty cool as well.
All right. Well,
I didn't even notice that. Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go through that again.
Yeah, how about that?
Notice that. We'll have to do that tomorrow or something. Yeah, so
enough of
that's...
this talk. We don't want to ruin it for everyone on this. Like, we don't want to just explain the entire dungeon and be like, this is exactly it, guys. This is what you're expecting.
This is how you got to do it. That's it. Do it like that. If you don't do it like that, report it.
You're wrong.
But, okay, so yeah. So that was Skyreach on normal difficulty. All of our gear was scaled down to 97. I think it was like 560. Or no, 570. That's what it was. Something like that. But yeah, so let's get into some more... I guess you can consider relevant content. Just earlier today, I believe, it was either today or yesterday, we got some new DPS charts from SimCraft. Still king of the hill right now, Windwalker Monk. I think that's
so weird.
I think it's weird, and I think it's broken, and I feel like it's gonna change. But look who shit the bed. Fire mages below the Shadow Priests.
They're awful. Fire Mage is
Absolute garbage. And it's weird.
Wasn't
because
fire like at the top at one point?
Fire, Arcane, and Frost, all 3 were together. Look at the discrepancy between Frost and Fire now.
You want to shoot some fire blasts, huh? Well, here's a penis. Go eat it.
Exactly. Feral, I think I expected Feral to be up there again. I think like they have some of the best single target damage in the game. Obviously, you saw like that Feral Druid. He probably wasn't even doing it right, and he was Shrekking it because I mean they're pretty good, and I think they're gonna stay good. I think Feral is one of those highly rewarded specs where it's difficult to do, but if you do it right, you're gonna do really, really well.
If you're a rogue, how salty are you that a Feral Druid is number 5?
Yeah, like it's Feral Druids took your spot, bro. Like because
come on.
rogues were really good pre 6.0. Like they were really, really good, especially like in the heroic Gary fights and just heroics in general. Like rogues are really, really good pre 6.0, and now they're kind of a little bit dumped on here. And I can kind of say the same for warriors, but actually not so much because look at Gladiator. I mean, the thing that is confusing me is that when we first looked at what our potential DPS would be, is like we were our highest DPS was where fire mages are now, and everything's starting to gradually go up. And I think we covered that in the last Raid Week Wednesday, where it's going to get to a point like Blizzard can't keep squishing. Like the numbers are just going to have to get higher and higher. And I think eventually at some point we're not going to be too far off of what the numbers were in Siege of Orgrimmar.
Do you guys really think that monks are going to stay at the top? I just can't imagine monks being the top 2 DPS.
Every time I look at it,
I
just hate looking at these stupid DPS rankings and seeing them up there. I mean, like, good for Windwalker monks, but there's I just
nobody
don't
plays
see,
it.
like, look at the gap between numbers right now. Like 40, they're pushing 45K. The next highest is 43K, barely pushing 43K.
Yeah,
they're 2K at the end of the tier. Like,
the
what?
discrepancy differences are like absolutely massive. Like I said before, how like fire mages, that was like the DPS that we were looking at that was like top tier, and the discrepancies between each spec and class was only maybe like 500 and at most maybe like 1200 damage. But now we've got 48 or 45 or 44.8 at the top, and we've got 32.8 at the bottom. Like that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you guys think Blizzard's really honing in on exactly where they want this, or how big do you guys think this is gonna change? And also,
right now,
don't feel free to chime in if you're in the Twitch chat as well.
You guys feel free to ask any questions that you want to ask related to the content we're discussing, or even content that you want us to maybe just like recap that we discussed before. But with these numbers right now, you got to remember this is Mythic. We haven't even seen the tier 17 version of Mythic. I don't even think most of the raiders have actually, like Method and all those top guilds, I don't think they've seen most of the content of Mythic. And these are patchwork fights. They're literally taking the gear that they see that are kind of like being introduced to us in the public, statting it all together, and then just giving us numbers. So these numbers could be like this. All technically could still be completely wrong because we don't have any true DPS numbers from the actual encounters yet. These are just based off of what we're seeing from the gear. For all we know, Windwalkers might be completely awful, and they might be the last in the chart, and Fire Mage might just be so damn good during the encounters that they're up top. Like,
I don't think it'd be that big of a switch. I think it generally gives us a ballpark estimate of where it's going to be, but I really don't think the discrepancy differences between the top damage and the lowest on the totem pole is going to be that big of a gap. Like 12,000 damage is a lot.
That's big.
Yeah, but everyone's big. Usually, their big complaint on these numbers is, "Oh, these are patchwork fights," and you gotta think that that's more or less true, especially in this situation because like I said, no one's experiencing this tier 17 Mythic content consistently right now, so no one really knows what to expect out of these numbers when the time actually comes. How much moving is actually going to have to be done in the Mythic version on all of these fights? How much actual awareness of this? Like maybe this Windwalker has a majority of fights where he has a lot more mechanics to worry about than DPS. The fact that these numbers are straight patchwork, we're only seeing numbers just based on what their gear is. Like if this is like if we're all standing at the dummy outside of the shrine right now, punching it, taking turns, like these are the numbers we'd see if they all had their best gear.
Yeah.
If maybe even not. Maybe there's just more ads like included in these fights. Maybe this is. I know this isn't the AoE version, but like this is. I'm assuming this is just strictly off one target. Like, who knows? There might be 2 targets or 3 targets involved in the encounter
that could be
together.
a huge difference, yeah, especially for like
the fights are crazy so far.
And I'd also like to point out that as far as we know for tier 17 rating, it's not going to be, again, not that melee friendly, hence why we're not going to be having many melee in our raid group. I think we're going 5, right? Compared to the 8 or 9 of ranged we've got?
6.
We went 6.
We're going 6? Okay, so yeah, we changed it up. Oh, you spoke with Alicia and Kalisha?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're doing 6 in our raid group. If worst comes to worst, we can always figure something out.
But the reason I bring it up is the fact that because of how unfriendly it's looking like to melee, that rarely are we going to be able to pull numbers like that. And obviously the range are going to have the advantage of not having to move around and maybe avoid mechanics of the boss that are in his general hitbox zone. And they'll be like kind of free to cast out in no man's land. And I think, but like again, also what really matters is your total damage done. So if this fire mage really actually pulls maybe 33,000 and this monk's pulling 45,000, if the monk is only getting 70% uptime on the boss, then the mage is gonna shit on him and damage dealt.
Or he's garbage.
Or he's garbage. That's
yeah, or he's just garbage.
But yeah,
right, let's move off the DPS charts for now. We're up against it.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a quick look.
All we know is that it's been these numbers for a week. They haven't done any hot fixes on classes, I think, in the past week. So
a lot of the changes that they made were just kind of visual stuff from what I saw.
We'll see if they move forward. I'm sure they'll make a couple more changes.
I think between, if you look at Windwalker at the top and then I think Ret Pally, that discrepancy difference I think is like when it comes down to real numbers, what we're going to experience in the actual live Warlords of Draenor when we're at this point where we're doing tier 17 Mythic. I think that number discrepancy there between 44.7 and 47, I think that's what the general difference between first and last is going to be. I really do not think that it's going to be this big of a jump of numbers between these two classes on the top and bottom of the totem poles. I think it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yep.
But moving on, we have some information. MMO Champion posted earlier. We've got some new mounts on the list. One is called the Creeping Carpet.
That's the dog.
I was gonna say that's the one on the right. And then the Dustmane Direwolf.
Isn't the Creeping Carpet the profession, the tailoring one?
I don't know. I didn't really look at. I just saw it and I was like, that's a really cool looking carpet. Great for RP. And
Aladdin.
Exactly. Oh my God, is this Gucci? And then the direwolf. I really like the fact that it's like the same model direwolves that the wolf mounts that the orcs get to use, their racial mounts, like the same model, but I really like the new updated textures. I think it looks really, really good.
It's nice to see that they take those models and they just improve them, essentially. It'd be nice to see some different looking wolves. I feel like there's so many different styles in the real world that, like, why can't you implement them in the game almost? Like, there's maybe you can't, maybe there's just different colors, but I'm sure they can make those wolves look, at least, I feel like in the Warlords aspect, like, more of like a primitive kind of time, like caveman, not in a sense, but Gnar kind of viewpoint. That's kind of what it is. You're going back in time. Those wolves should definitely be like more jacked, kind of
gritty, nitty gritty kind of thing.
Yeah, aggressive looking. That looks very like.
I still think it looks cool.
Like he just went through a manicure and a haircut. Like,
no, what he looks like is he just went Super Saiyan 2. Look at the fucking mane on this thing. Look at it. No. It's like if you put Goku's face on that thing, it'd be perfect. It'd be a perfect match.
Someone Photoshop it.
Even the set, like the harness and stuff he has on it too, it kind of brings out that kind of older look to it. The details is what matters. Like I do like how they increase the texture, like the more detailed, just the upgrade and improvements for everything is just, and it's just nice to see.
Yeah, so. I mean they can only do
that
so
carpet,
much,
guys.
Yeah,
look how much of a carpet it is.
Compared to the other carpet, Burning Crusade was the last carpet released in this game. Was it not? Was it?
I think they released one in Wrath.
Or was it Wrath? I think it was Wrath, not Burning Crusade.
Wrath. Yeah, because I think it was 350 tailoring.
Yep. Yeah, that's what it was.
400, something like that.
Yep. So seeing the improvement, I mean, there's definitely improvement there from the last carpet I've seen, but
oh yeah, good looking textures. One thing I didn't look at was the animations. I don't know if they changed the animations on the flying carpet, because obviously there's kind of like no turning animation in a sense. So like it doesn't like bend or tilt at all. It just literally just 90 degrees. Like that's all that is. So I mean, I don't think they have anything that really has like a kind of like its own individual turning animation, but I mean, carpet, man. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So
It's not a flying carpet though, because it's in Draenor, so
Yeah.
it's more like a floating
carpet. Yeah, a hovering carpet. Yeah. All right, AJ, show us what we're looking at now.
Y'all ready to get your mind exploded by an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh shit! It's an Excel spreadsheet. All right, so this is it's an Excel spreadsheet. A breakdown of gear levels, where you can get gear, and then in Heimwall, who drops what. I'm sure we can link this somewhere on the YouTube video and in the chat. Just a link to this image so you guys can check it out and look at a little bit more detail. Found this on Reddit, on the r/WoW Reddit.
Oh yeah.
So credit to whomever made this that I didn't bother to look up. Sorry.
Should have. We'll probably post it in the YouTube videos descriptions.
So what you said in the far left, you'll get the breakdown of by gear level where you can get stuff from. The next column over is the crafted weapons and items and where you can make them and what buildings you need to make them from. And then there's your meat and potatoes is the Heimwall loot. So it's all colored by what class you are and then who drops what. So for me, I'm looking at Kargath to get that headpiece.
Now, I was looking at this whole thing. I wasn't too understanding of the orange pieces that are dropping down through the list. If the orange was, I was assuming that maybe the orange pieces were.
I think that's
tier
tier
pieces. If it is
Pretty sure it's
tier, then this is what also I don't know if this is true, but you look down at jewelry, you see every neck and every ring. Is there tier necks and tier rings now? Are they bringing that back?
I don't think they
When
are.
was the last time they had that? Vanilla or BC?
Vanilla.
Was that
man.
only in vanilla?
Yeah, that's when like you had like AQ. And there was
The
like,
Magister,
rings and
the
stuff.
Magister
Like,
gear, some shit like that. I remember having like the whole mage set on one of my characters.
Yeah, there was definitely like some like crazy stuff going on back. Next Ramus, I knew there was rings and stuff, but I mean,
I don't know how I feel like if there was a tier ring, it'd have to be only one because then we have the legendary ring this expansion.
Mhm.
yeah. See, that's why I'm confused. Like this. Don't think that this is the gear chart that everyone should be listening to 100%. Like this is just to give people an example. But I mean, like, just if this guy is accurate, I mean, that would kind of throw me off. Maybe because I don't think there was 2 tier rings. It was just 1 tier ring back in vanilla. Don't get me wrong. I didn't play enough of vanilla rating to know, especially the end game.
Yeah, it's
But,
probably one because generally it's a unique item.
That'd be pretty
Especially-
cool though if they
yeah.
had like tier jewelry and
tier-
then that one legendary. Like that would
Yeah,
all fill in
a
perfectly.
tier ring and a legendary ring. I think it'd be really cool. I'm curious as to see what the ring actually is going to be as far as like what benefits it's going to give us, because obviously we had the cloaks with the really cool procs. You had like the increased, the fury of Zwen attacks going off, tons of AoE damage and all that stuff like that. So I'm curious as to what the ring is going to do for us.
Yeah, I mean,
This just kind of gives people like a general ballpark view of what the gearing, quote unquote, breakdown is going to be like. Who's going to be dropping what, and exactly what crafted items could be made from what profession.
But if you use this, there's also another image we found that I also found on the WoW Reddit that's a little less cluttered, a little bit more to the point. That we'll link that one as well. But basically, like, if you're using this as a guide to start gearing up for your raids, you're really looking at the left 2 columns. So that's the way of, because the normal gear starts at 655. So you want to have to be at least being heroically geared in your dungeons and have enough of your crafted pieces leveled to a point that, a 655 item level boss isn't going to overwhelm.
okay. That is 100% true. Just because I noticed there's a huge conversation about, well, not a huge, but it's picking up in chat. Your Pexus crystals, guys. I guess we talking about that coming up? Is that like the next? That's what we wanted to talk about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll actually talk about that right now. Just what he's going off of, like what you need to focus on. The first set is your heroic dungeons, your crafted pieces, and then the most important thing that's going to be coming up in this next expansion, and it's crucial through every step of your way through gearing yourself up into your top-end rating gear, is these Apexis crystals. They're bringing them back. I don't know if you guys remember back in Blade's Edge Mountain, they had a form of Apexis crystal back then that you'd farm for gear. It's the main currency coming into Warlords of Draenor, and what that pretty much covers is that's all your gear. Like you'll get the first set of gears it ranges from like 3,000 to 5,000 Apexis crystals that you'll farm, and you'll buy these I think there's like 5 different pieces of gear. It's like there's 5 of them. When you get those 5 pieces, there will be more. You'll have to get more Apexis crystals and have those pieces to upgrade those to the next set. And then this comes with like you have to make sure that you have these certain buildings in your garrison upgraded to a certain level, or you have to be on the certain raid that requires that item level to be able to purchase the item. There's different factors that you guys will experience, but it's like 3 to 5K for the first item. Then it goes like I think anywhere between like the 10K range for the second item. Then it pushes up to like 14,000, 15,000 to like 20,000 for the last tier. And that'll obviously keep boosting your item level as you go. So you'll go from the lowest of 630 with the first pieces of Apexis level 1. And then when you get the upgrades, once you have enough Apexis crystals, you'll upgrade those pieces to, if you look on the chart, Apexis level 2. You'll get the second level of the Apexis. Then when you get more of them, you'll go up to 3, and then it ends at 3. But just since we're talking about Apexis crystals, we have like this little tip thing that you guys can kind of take to yourself and use into Warlords of Draenor when you guys hit level 100. Just a bunch of little tricks that I have to go over with my guys, let alone I'd like to share with people who are interested in this in general. There is, which is really cool, you want to level up and gear your followers when you get your garrison as fast as possible. Gear and leveling is important because those followers will pretty much run your garrison. They're the guys who are going to get you resources. They're the guys that are going to get you other upgrades for the other followers. They're going to get you items for yourself that are blue items, maybe even better items than that, which I'll explain momentarily, but they're getting you everything. So you want to have your followers constantly going, constantly getting upgraded, and you're going to want to do as much as you can to keep getting them upgraded. If you do this, you reward yourself with something amazing. When you level up and get them as much gear,
handy. You get a handy in the background.
You get a free handy and maybe a cup of coffee to go with it afterwards. But with the tier 4 of the rare missions, you're going to get a mission that comes up every 2 to 3 weeks. You only get it every 2 to 3 weeks. You will be able to send out your followers, and obviously it's going to be a difficult one. So if your followers do not have enough gear, if they're not high enough level, you probably won't even succeed. But if you get this this weekly, it's not even a weekly. It's almost like a monthly. It's literally, it comes up only every 14 to 21 days. So if you complete that mission, you will get a raid piece. They'll give you the raid piece of that choice. Maybe it sits there as like an epic ring. They'll give you a raid piece specifically to whatever raid you're in. And the higher level you get with your item level and the higher dungeon it realizes, like say you're in High Mall, but oh wait, you're already done with High Mall, you're in Black Rock. It'll give you a Black Rock piece afterwards. If you complete it, you get that epic, and you could start it as soon as you get to tier 4. So as soon as you hit tier 4 with your guys, you are able to pick up this quest and you can start it. So the sooner you hit 100, the sooner you get your garrison done, the sooner you get your guys leveled to do some tier 4 missions. You will see the mission there. You can pick it up. It's once every couple of weeks.
Now, before I forget, actually, is I think AJ was the one that brought it up maybe last week, or could have been in episode 1. The potential for the mobile access of your garrison followers on the World of Warcraft app. Was that you that brought it up, or was that Chris?
I think it was Chris.
I think it was Chris. Basically, from what we're finding out finally about how crucial the garrisons are going to be in this next expansion towards gearing up, I think even like not even just casual players, like this might be like important for the people that that might be that hardcore raiding player, but has he goes to school full time and works a part-time job, that having access to your garrison followers and constantly being able to have them working on leveling up and gearing up is going to be having like mobile access to them would be like so helpful. So yep. Chris Metzen, we know you're in the Twitch chat. Take note.
Well, like you said, or like we actually discussed, I remember bringing this up as well. It's going to be crucial and important to constantly be aware of your garrison and constantly be improving that. I feel like progression isn't just going to come from man, can I do these raids with my guild to get gear? This is going to show like raid leaders, hey, are my guys actually doing what they need to be doing? Are they getting their garrison stuff done? Are their garrisons being upgraded? Are they putting in the work they need to be putting in? This expansion is going to bring a lot more to the table than, oh, am I just raid ready? Do I have upgraded pieces? Do I have repair gold? And is my gear suitable enough at least to run this to run this raid with my guild? It goes beyond that now. You're gonna look at, okay, is my player doing what he needs to be doing in his garrison to be getting the optimized amount of stuff that he needs for his raids, including these epic pieces that we're going to experience every 2 to 3 weeks, and just blues over time. Like, you'll be able to see what blues people get, and these blues are good. Like, they're like, if you just jump into 90 and you pick up a blue from a follower or something, it might boost you up quite a bit. Like, they're like 630 item levels. They're not weak blues. They're not just like the 600 item level, that's it kind of thing. They're good. So you'll kind of see that side of progression from your players. But that was just nice. Just to go through it. When you're just to go through the gearing again, just to finish it up. When you're doing there's a daily quest each day for Apexis crystals. It's 800 Apexis crystals each day from the quest. It just sends you out in the world and get something done. Like, you have to go do this or this. There's 2 options. You can go kill a bunch of mobs, or you can go do a specific type of quest. Like, they have like cool different dailies that you could choose from to kind of do what you want to do. If you like killing a bunch of mobs each day, you can keep doing that daily where you kill a bunch of mobs. You never have to do that one where you have to go collect objectives or do something like that. So that's nice that they added daily quests for Apexis crystals like that. Challenge mode daily quest is very important. You can get a lot of gear. So challenge modes, if you never did them this expansion, it's not a bad idea to do them in the next expansion, because that's one way you're going to get gear. That's very important that way. If you notice on the guide, the little graphic we posted, the crafting gear, it's saying right now that you can only equip 3 pieces of crafting gear. So don't get, oh man, I have to go and get 2 primary professions to get all the crafting gear I possibly want. It won't matter. You put 3 on, that's it. Now obviously if you get raid pieces and stuff and you still have under gear pieces, it would be nice to have those crafting pieces fill those spots that you need them to fill once you start getting raid gear. But 3 crafting pieces, and right now they're also saying that cloak does not count towards the crafting pieces, so it's essentially 4. You could put on 4. You obviously want to farm your heroic dungeons. The heroic dungeons drop specific gear, which means you're not going to see if the same helmet you saw drops. It's hard to explain. Tier helmets, the tier of helmets that'll be dropping from there, the armor, the backs, everything you see is going to be the same throughout every dungeon you do. The only difference is the weapons you see will drop from different bosses are different throughout the dungeons you do, and like the jewelry. But you'll see the same armor drop from every instance that you do. It doesn't change. That's the same type of armor. It's kind of like a heroic dungeon set that you'll experience when you actually start doing heroics. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to go farm just different pieces. It's all the same. You just do the different dungeons to get the same pieces, except for the couple handful I explained. But Apexis crystals, they're very important. Emphasizing on that, mobs in the higher level zones will be dropping them consistently. About, I think, anywhere from 1 to 30 is what they're going to be dropping. So you're going to want to farm Apexis crystals as much as you can, obviously with groups. You're obviously going to want to run the raid that's preferred for your level once they open up, and just constantly keep getting those raid jobs to replace or upgrade the crafted pieces or the Apexis gear you have. It's not 0 out of 4 in the upgrades. It's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 for your upgraded items now. You're going to see that difference, which was pretty interesting to me. But that's the tips on your gearing. Just pay attention to that and you'll do absolutely fine. Are we pushing this for another? Are we going a little bit longer?
I think we did it. I think that's good.
I think we're all right here. Next week, we'll bring you guys some more dungeon content. We'll be doing some more dungeons throughout the week. I think what we'll do is we'll probably maybe do 2 and like maybe shorten them a little bit if we can, just because the video had a little bit of extra other stuff, and hopefully we're not wiping in the middle of the attempt.
Nah, that's good stuff.
So maybe we might bring 2 next week. We might I'll probably upload the video of us doing Shadow Moon Burial Ground as well up to YouTube.
Speed it up though.
Yeah, so that way you guys can see. Actually, no, because they'll have the audio as well, so it won't be that boring. But so you guys will have some potential to see us go through Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, because I know we talked about it last week. So the last thing we wanted to do was bring it to you guys again. But yeah, so next week we're gonna go over some another dungeon, and then we're also going to discuss what people are doing to prepare to level
Exactly.
and race to 100. I know you want to say something about that. Go ahead.
That was actually I feel like that's the most important thing we should cover, and we'll discuss that more. But I mean, next week, you guys got to look at it. Next week, the week after that, it's game time. Like we're on Warlords of Draenor after next week, so we're definitely covering next Wednesday. We're going to cover what everyone's doing to prepare, so you guys kind of figure out what you should be going into if you want to race to 100 and be the quickest one there. That's something we're definitely going to emphasize on and cover next week. So.
Yep.
And next week's
tuned for that.
BlizzCon Eve.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Oh, it is.
yo, BlizzCon's coming up. I'm coming up to Orlando next
It's gonna
weekend.
be a party.
Yes, it is. I'm excited. So yeah, as far as that goes for us here, thank you guys for showing up, and we'll see you next week for Raid Week Wednesday episode 4.
Do great things.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Make sure you guys check us out at youtube.com/#progression or #progression.com. If you guys want to potentially join the guild, you guys can throw up an application on the website. We have some other contact information there for alternative means of getting in contact with us. But that'll be for tonight. So we'll see you guys later.